Mark XLII, Prodigal Son. Thanks to the control system in this armor, even without Tony speaking, micro-repeaters would locate Tony Stark using the power of thought, wherever he was, and assemble around him. The idea might sound great, but these pieces were constantly malfunctioning, and the parts could fail to attach properly. Although we see the armor's failures in Iron Man 3, Tony remotely controlled it while not inside it and defeated Killian. At the same time in the comics, the remote control and modular system concept reached its peak in the Superior Iron Man storyline. Taking everything into account, I'd place this armor in the beta classification. Mark XLIII. Tony had done something we didn't expect. He had activated the Clean Slate protocol. That means he had destroyed all the armors. This might sound sad, but building armors is an addiction for this man. So the Mark XLIII combined the best features of the Mark XLVII and XLII, meaning armors could now carry multiple features simultaneously. Instead of a garage full of armors, a single prototype combining all features sounds appealing. This armor was stable, powerful, and AI supported. Mark XLIII fought in the first encounter with Ultron. It was able to trigger the Hulkbuster. The Jarvis integration was flawless. In the comics, AI integration at the Jarvis level was detailed in the Invincible Iron Man series. Its classification is undeniably Alpha, stable, powerful, AI supported, Alpha. Before we continue, like the video right now so you don't forget. Mark XLIV, Hulkbuster, Veronica. Bruce Banner had lost control. The only thing that could stop Bruce in Hulk form was an equally massive armor. That's why Tony Stark built Veronica. In a scene where the Hulk lost control again, pieces descended from a satellite system and slipped over the Mark XLIII. Its size is enormous. It fought the Hulk one-on-one. In the end, it couldn't fully stop the Hulk, but it protected the city. That alone was an achievement in itself. Who do you think would win if the Hulkbuster and Thanos fought? Write it in the comments. In the comics, the Hulkbuster armor first made a brief appearance on stage. Its first full appearance and real battle with the Hulk took place in Iron Man number 305. The comic version was even larger than the MCU one. As for its classification, it's an enormous armor. It stopped the Hulk, but it's not interesting enough to call Alpha, so Beta. Mark XLV. This is one of everyone's favorites. It has more advanced sensors and clean lines. We said goodbye to Jarvis, and now the Friday AI system became active with this armor. At the same time, this evolution, coinciding with the all-new, all-different Avengers era, was also paralleled in the comics universe. There's no need to say more. Classification, Alpha. Mark XLVI. The electric discharge, paralysis system, foldable helmet, and multiple miniature arc reactors were legendary. It was also nearly winning against two super soldiers. Steve first broke the helmet, then struck the shield against the main arc reactor, disabling it. Mark XLVI was inspired by the bleeding edge armor from the comics world. In the Civil War series, Tony used far more advanced armors. Its classification is definitively Alpha. Mark XLVII, a Tony Stark armor without Tony Stark inside it. This was the armor Tony used during his mentorship of Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming. It could be remotely controlled via Wi-Fi without anyone inside. While Tony was talking on the phone, the armor on autopilot saved Peter. To be honest, this armor was a recolored version of the Mark XLVI. Look at both armors. Aren't they the same? I think it was a budget issue. The armor's classification is Beta. It can be remotely controlled and has a decent AI system, but it's not perfect. Mark XLVIII, Hulkbuster 2.0. Bruce Banner couldn't transform into the Hulk, and Thanos' forces were approaching in Wakanda. Bruce Banner is known for being unable to transform into the Hulk at the most needed moments. The same thing happened in Avengers Infinity War. The solution was giving him the Hulkbuster 2.0. Banner didn't use this armor very well. We couldn't see the armor's potential. In the comics, the evolution of Hulkbuster technology was constantly explored. Each new version was more powerful and smarter than the previous. But I can't say the same for the MCU. Therefore, its classification is Alpha. Mark XLIX, Rescue Armor. Tony loves making armors for his loved ones. Why shouldn't there be one for Pepper too? I'll admit, when I first saw this armor against Thanos' army, I asked why we hadn't seen it before. This armor has the capacity to fight against enemies, but its primary purpose is rescue and protection. Because its combat capacity is low and it focuses on protection systems, we can place it in the Beta class. Mark L50, Nanotech. If Iron Man's armors needed a leader, it would be the Mark L. Armors are now nanotechnology based. When Mark I sees Mark 50, I can almost hear it saying, "I'm proud of you, son." This armor spread from a small device on his chest across his entire body. Damaged sections could be repaired instantly, nearly flawless. In the comics, the nanotechnology armor was the pinnacle of Extremis technology's evolution. Its classification is definitively Omega. Mark XLVIII, the Endgame armor. Avengers Endgame, the final armor. The very last armor. Friends, this is the MCU's last Iron Man armor. It's a bit emotional, of course. This armor pulled the Infinity Stones from the Mad Titan Thanos' gauntlet like a magnet, in nearly seconds. Thanos didn't even sense it, and Iron Man said goodbye to us in this scene. Did you know that in the comic series, the idea of Tony Stark using the Infinity Gauntlet is based on the Infinity Gauntlet series? Even the comic book Tony played critical roles against Thanos there. Anyway, friends, this farewell armor is definitively in the Omega class. This armor saved half the universe. Special armors only in the comics. The MCU never showed us these armors, but in this video, we'll also talk about armors seen only in the comics. Stealth Armor, Model 9. People really confuse this armor with the sneaky armor in the MCU. Yes, it was definitely an inspiration, but the Stealth Armor is far more iconic and versatile. The Stealth Armor is a stealth armor. It's nearly invisible to radar systems, and it minimized its electronic signature. In the comics, it was used to infiltrate secret Soviet facilities. The idea of an invisible armor was mentioned in passing in Iron Man 3. I'll admit, I got excited even when this idea was just being discussed in that scene, but we couldn't see these before Tony Stark said goodbye to us. Even though the stealth armor is an exciting armor, its classification is beta. Silver Centurion. Yes, we saw this in the MCU as Silver Centurion, but the comic version deserved a separate entry. In issue number 200 of the comic series, 1985, it was used against Obadiah Stane, and it succeeded. Red-silver color, advanced energy system, reinforced shield systems, inspired by samurai design. To be honest, it was far more powerful and far more iconic than the MCU's Silver Centurion. Its classification is without doubt Alpha. Deep Sea Armor. This armor was specially designed to withstand the extreme pressure of the deep ocean. When I put it that way, it might not sound impressive to you, but friends, there's a situation in the old comics. In keeping with the technology of that era, according to the upper limits of what they could imagine, technologies were used accordingly. For example, in old Iron Man comics, there were patents on the armor. Yes, that's actually true. That looked cool and technological for that era, but it's something achievable by today's standards. That's why when preparing prototypes for MCU Iron Man films, patents weren't added to Iron Man armors as they would look ridiculous. For example, in old comics, Thanos has a helicopter, but when you look at those comic visuals, it looks comical and ridiculous. Thankfully, they didn't use this in Endgame. In short, this armor was specially designed in the 1980s to withstand the extreme pressure of the deep ocean. It featured radiation protection, a full oxygen system, and deep-sea imaging technology. Classification is definitively Alpha. Extremis Armor, Model 32. We saw this armor in the Iron Man Extremis miniseries. Its story is very mystical. Tony injected the Extremis virus into his own body. The armor was now part of his body. The inner layer of the armor was stored in the hollows of his bones, while the outer plates were kept separate by mega nanotechnology. The entire system was directly connected to Tony's nervous system. It activated at the speed of thought. I know which armor this reminds you of. The MCU's Nanotech armor. Honestly, this comic armor was an inspiration for the MCU. Of course, the comic version was far more unsettling. The armor was literally inside Tony. What do you think it would have been like to see this story in the MCU series? If Loki is still holding all the timelines of the MCU in his hands, give us Tony back. We should see this comic story in the MCU. What do you think? Write in the comments. The armor's classification, we say Omega directly, without any debate. Thorbuster. The secret of the Thorbuster was this. Thor had previously given Tony an Asgardian crystal to study. Tony used this crystal as the armor's power source, allowing the armor to absorb and redirect Asgardian energy. The design was inspired by Thor's enemy, the Destroyer armor. It even managed to stop a Mjolnir strike mid-air, but in the end, it wasn't enough, because Thor was Thor. Simple, clear, straightforward. Classification, Omega. God-killer armor. This armor was designed to fight god-level beings in space. Its size is enormous, with cosmic-level energy output. During this period, Tony was part of a team protecting the galaxy alongside the Guardians of the Galaxy. Classification, Omega. Superior Iron Man armor. Its story is a bit dark, because Tony Stark had lost his moral values and turned into a dark version of himself, a venom-like symbiotic material. The armor clung to Tony's body and moved with his thoughts. No physical controls were necessary. In short, friends, evil Tony plus symbiotic armor equals a truly terrifying combination. Classification. What do you think it would have been like to see this story in the MCU? Classification, Omega. Model Prime Armor. Tony had done this in the MCU too, combining all features into a single armor. Holographic systems, stealth capability, heavy armor mode, space mode, all in one package. Classification, Omega. Uru Armor. Fear Itself, the Metal of Asgard. You know the Fear Itself crossover event? While 7 sacred hammers were ravaging the world, Tony Stark felt helpless, and he went to Odin, and together with Eitri, he created an armor made from Uru metal, the sacred metal of Asgard. This armor possessed supernatural powers, a fusion of Asgardian magic and Stark technology. It was the product of one of Tony Stark's most selfless moments, leaving alcoholism behind to save the world. My god, that sounds impressive. Classification, Omega. Write your own ranking in the comments. Also, don't forget to write your favorite armor, and which comic story do you think would be legendary to see in the MCU? More parts of the series are coming, stay tuned. Subscribe. Also, there was a part 1 of this video. The first armors are there. You can click the icon I've left on the right side and watch it right now.